Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So I am seeing green on my end, and I see green and I see movement. Good. Alright, let's get aggressive. So I'm on Twitter. I do Twitter from time to time. And as I scroll through my Twitter feed for today, I see Howard Dean, corporate shill stooge Howard Dean, put out a tweet or retweeting something. Now the thing that he was retweeting had to do with Jill Stein, essentially the Russia investigation, and how there were questions raised about Jill Stein and wait for it, her help or her assistance in losing the election for Hillary Clinton. I voted for Jill Stein. Wasn't because of Russian propaganda. Had nothing to do with anything else other than they cheated my guy. They cheated my guy. Also, that woman is a warmonger. So no. No, I said no. The only context they look at this as is, well, hey, I mean, she was in a picture with Putin. She was in a picture with Vladimir Putin. She ran against Hillary Clinton. I mean, why would anybody run against Hillary Clinton? Certainly she has something to do with Hillary Clinton losing the election, and we see this photo with Russia. I mean, there's a tie there. Jill Stein must have been a Russian stooge. Now, this is kind of like if you and I have an interview, and I start the interview off saying, so are reports that you beat your wife true? Now, you understand that any answer that you give me at this point is still put in the context of whether or not you beat your wife. Did you do anything to help Vladimir Putin interfere with the election with Hillary Clinton? I just look. I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated by this, and not in a good way. The fascination is not good at all. She lost. She lost. Corporate stooge Howard Dean, I understand that you wanted Hillary Clinton in that office, but she lost. Understand it. Internalize it. Accept your failure. You failed on a massive fucking level, and you failed all throughout the United States, not just the presidency. Even if on the off chance you could say, okay, something was interrupted, somehow the presidency was interrupted by some foreign agent. What about the rest of the United States? You've lost everything. Like, this is not just one seat. This is not just, okay, political conjecture of something that just took place on a federal level. You've lost everything all throughout the United States. Hillary Clinton just lost. She just failed. She had a failed message. She had a failed strategy. She was under investigation by the FBI for like a year. She should have been locked up in that phony false investigation that wasn't really taking place, even though Comey insisted that the investigation was taking place. I am saying that they cheated Bernie Sanders. I am saying that she chose Tim Kaine to be her vice president, even though she full well understood that there was a populist movement in the country that really wanted Bernie Sanders. Hell, you could have chosen Elizabeth Warren if you wanted to choose somebody for a VP. That would have actually given you a chance to pull those people over after you cheated their guy. 15 million people left that party. That wasn't Russia. That was people running away from a burning fire, from a burning building. It has nothing to do with Jill Stein. It has nothing to do with Bernie Sanders. It has nothing to do with Bernie bros and a bunch of sexist people that are coming out of the sewers to take shots at Hillary Clinton. It has nothing to do with any of those things. It's what you are. It's what you represent. It's what you've done over the past 8 years. It's what you've done over the past 20 years. This is all about you. Stop trying to blame other people. Yes, including corporate stooge Howard Dean, the guy who says he's not a lobbyist, even though he's perfectly suited at being a lobbyist. Amazing. I'm going to retweet this. Retweet to me why you fail so much. That's the retweet that I want. Howard Dean explains why they fail so often and so much. There's nothing to do with Russia. These stories about Russia are falling apart at the seams. There was one recently that fell apart that I'm going to do it. Video on the German election. They kept saying, oh my God, there's going to be Russian involvement. There was no Russian involvement. No Russian involvement in the French election. No Russian involvement in any of the stuff. This is the shit that they're making up. They're making up to try to obfuscate from failure. Obfuscate from failure. Nobody likes to accept their losses. Nobody likes to accept their failure, particularly when you've handed us over to maniacs. It's nothing to do with the Jill Stein. That's my point. That's my point. Neoliberal policies came home to roost. Yes, you've gutted the country out. Gutted it. And then you're running around telling everybody that, hey, the economy is good. The economy is great. Don't you want to keep that going on? Status quo forever. Status quo forever. Our world is falling apart around us. I don't like to beat this drum, even though I know I continuously beat this drum, but our world is falling around us. Yes, to some degree, this is my conception of the world. Fair enough. But it's not just made out of whole cloth. If scientists are looking at the world saying that all of these extinctions have taken place on our watch because of our behavior, well, that's a big fucking deal. Our behavior is killing the planet. Status quo forever. I'm Hillary Clinton. I'm going to be Obama 2.0. Think about that. Plastic is in our oceans. We're in one military conflict after the next, 70% of the globe. Status quo forever. Stock market through the roof. Everybody else, at least 60% of the country is like in poverty. Status quo forever. They're trying to pass the Trans-Pacific Partnership. When that thing, the document itself is online for anybody to read, it guts us. It hands us over United States sovereignty to essentially corporations. You can call it, it's a tribunal, but essentially corporations. Think about that. Corporations can sue the United States government. That was Obama. So if he's telling us, hey, you can trust me, and he's status quo, he's the center. There was a book called The Center Holes. The Center Holes. Not anymore, it didn't. The center fell apart. People tore it asunder. And unfortunately, the maniac that they went to was Donald Trump, because the left failed to give an actual answer to what's going on. What I mean is, usually you have this situation where you have people are looking for something different, and people looking for something different, you have these kind of fringe groups, fringe parties. Now, Bernie Sanders is not necessarily a fringe. He's just a harking back to the Democrats' heyday in the 50s, 60s. But from the perspective of our politics that takes place in the United States, yeah, he's further to the left. The thing is, it's the failure of the left that allows these guys to take power on the right. You had what the country wanted on the left. The Democratic Party didn't want that solution to come to fruition. Fair enough, they cheated him. So you got Trump. The person who you put up wasn't actually on the left. That person was, if you want to give these things a spectrum, was centrist to the hilt. The public clearly wanted something different. Democratic Party did not want to do that. It is a failure of the left. Now, Hillary Clinton lost. She got the stuffing beat out of her, particularly when you're looking at the voting like throughout the country. She got the stuffing beat out of her. These guys can say whatever they want. The public clearly wanted something different, and they didn't trust her. The thing that they wanted was something fundamentally different. Democrats kept pushing this idea of status quo, but they couldn't show anything, if that makes sense. You had 8 years in that office. You were hope and change, and nothing changed. Nothing substantially changed. And if you want to talk about the minor and meager changes that have taken place, they were so minor that they're being undone within the course of like 8 months. Oh, let's give it a year. Let's give it 2 years. But you're talking about something that took 8 years to build, this kind of incrementalism in 8 years. And it was so incremental that it could be washed away in a year. She lost due to her own failings. She lost to the failings of the party itself. Own it. Stop harassing Jill Stein. Amazed by this. Russia had nothing to do with your loss in this election. You just lost. Just lost. Alright. I'm gonna end this and go to the next one. I did pretty good timing on this. It's just 2 minutes. Yeah, guys, if you enjoy the content, feel free to share, rate, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the work through Patreon. Thanks, guys.